Hello, I'm Chris Thompson, Vice President of Enterprise Solutions Marketing at Plantronics. Today I'm at Cisco to talk to John Hernandez, the Collaboration Market and Solutions Development General Manager and Vice President here at Cisco. John, it's good to see you again.
You as well.
John and I worked together 20 years ago at another telecom company and about 10 years ago here at Cisco, and we launched the very first collaboration solutions into the market. John, when you think back over that time, what's changed?
It's crazy. It's only gotten faster, as you know. You used to have these long cycles of development and then take it to market, and it could take years for those things to materialize. Now it's daily with updates and upgrades, and the pace of development and change and the combination of hardware and software has just accelerated in the Valley.
Do you think the Valley is really the motivational factor that's driving Cisco towards a more rapid development cycle? Or?
Absolutely. And we see it not only from the technology companies like you do in Silicon Valley, but customers as well. We've had a lot of senior executives of many of the financial firms, many of the retail and high-tech companies. They come into the Valley to see what's happening with the VCs, where are they investing, because that's a big leading indicator of where their customers are going to be using technology and how they interact with them.
We recently had our Australian distribution team over here in the Cisco EBC Center to talk about how Plantronics and Cisco are working together. And I've got to say, it really does drive a different agenda than if we took them to another place at a different location somewhere else in the world.
Yeah, and we're seeing that very much so in the customer's request. In the past, when you'd engage with them in a briefing, for instance, it would be very product focused and, what do I buy and how do I use it? And it's turned more into an experience, like how do my employees experience a daily work life? And the technology is a secondary discussion now. And that includes extending it all the way out to their customers for customer care. And just make it seamless into the everyday work life of how you actually experience a day in the life. And as we all know, we're on mobile devices, we're in the car. I was just in a conference call in the car, I was one at home. Now here in the office. And so the technology and the experiences have to blend into our daily lives now, not the other way around.
Now that used to be a lot harder, I think. When I think about making a portable experience 15 years ago, it was all about VPNing into something and then using a system. Is the cloud and its interoperability with premises systems, is that really driving a different type of experience? No doubt,
no doubt. And it's a combination of both we're seeing. It's not just the cloud, because there's a lot of great things you can do in the cloud. There's obviously, always top of mind security. With all the breaches that we're seeing in the industries out there, it's always top of mind. And so a way to combine your on-prem resources that you've invested into in with the cloud speed and agility to bring those things together and make it bulletproof from a security perspective, that's really driving significant change out there.
Interesting. Do you see customers now looking forward to the evolution of the premises network, looking at things like WebRTC? Are those types of technologies that customers are getting excited about?
Yeah, I mean, it has the promise of a lot of great things, WebRTC and many of the other standards that are still being ratified. And you see some of these things progress, the video standards out there, the VP8 versus the H.265, and that conversation. As those things continue to materialize, it's only going to benefit everybody involved, both the developers, the high-tech companies that make the equipment, and the consumers and companies that consume it, because it's going to start blending that stuff together. Now, before we can get there with all standardized product out there, we obviously have to have some extensions from each of the vendors to make that work. But absolutely, those standards are going to accelerate things even further in the future.
Is there a lot of convergence in standards to deliver quality experiences? I mean, in the early days of voice over IP, people were willing to trade off cost for quality, and then Cisco really led the way with high definition audio. We've been the partner to make sure that you can hear and be heard when you're participating in a collaborative interaction. But do you see standards driving towards assured and better experiences?
Standards is, but I think more so than the standards, it's the development community, the people that are like ourselves and others that are developing technology around it. Like you said, 10, 12 years ago, it was all about cost arbitrage. How can you take down my daily cost of my infrastructure? While cost is still a factor in the discussion and the decision, it's not the overarching thing anymore. It's about the experience of what people are going to use with the technology and how they can get their jobs done much more appropriately and effectively through the day, no matter where they are in the world.
We often say to our channel partners and our own salespeople that it's our job to really make sure that the customer has a great experience when they interface with Cisco's infrastructure, with Cisco's applications, with Cisco's devices. When you look forward into the future, how do you think video is going to change the experience that people have? I mean, you've been pushing video now for 7 years, and pushing is probably the wrong word.
Yeah.
But you've been really encouraging customers to look at video as a new way to generate high-value experiences. So how does a person's presence in video become important or augmented?
Yeah, yeah. You know, we saw it a number of years ago when we introduced telepresence. That was such a high-end experience that it was overwhelming how great of an experience that was. And so we saw every boardroom around the world really invest into that for those types of engagements. And then very quickly after that, because that cost point and that quality, it was just a little too high for everybody's desk. And so it became very quickly, how do we just add video into every telephone call? How do you put it onto a desk telephone at the same cost the old voice over IP phones used to be? And then that took off into the enterprise. And now we're seeing, from a desktop perspective, a blend of that desktop unit of a phone, the high-end video capability of an immersive system, into devices like this that really bring the price point down to where every knowledge worker could have this on their desktop. And as we all know, video is so much more engaging than an audio conversation. And so people aren't multitasking because you're all being visual and being seen in that environment. It makes you pay attention more. You can also read body language, which you can't do over audio. And a lot of that expression and conversation is nonverbal, as we know. And so having that seamlessly into it completely changes the conversations and shortens the overall conversations to be much more productive.
And we focus a lot on how do people feel when they're presenting themselves in video. And we know that the look, the feel of the headset, the perceived quality or the image that it gives to the person in a video session, it can come across as making you look uncomfortable and awkward, or you can look very sleek and powerful, and again have a great voice experience and video experience at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, it goes hand in hand, right? I mean, the design that went into these types of devices, it's just not about the high definition video and audio capability. It's about the sleekness and the sexiness of the device. Same thing with the headset and how it's going to integrate into that experience. Having a tethered cable into that thing that keeps moving around, or they can't get up away from the unit, or something that doesn't look appealing on camera that kind of makes you look like you have a big helmet on, it's just not going to be conducive to the conversation and the interaction that you're having. So it's that entire experience that they're looking for, especially when you start talking about customer care. When you got a customer on the other side there, you want branding. You want the ability to be seen as a professional in that environment, not your traditional contact center agent of the past that would hide behind the telephone. This is being forefront and being the brand image of your company. And so everything visually needs to be pleasing in that experience.
That's something I've noticed when I think about some of the video customer engagements that I've been in. You can see the customers that put a great deal of thought into how the brand is projected through the screen, versus other customers you can tell it was almost an afterthought. It's maybe the customer doesn't want to view a room full of people over their shoulders. It's interesting how that industry is evolving.
Yeah, no doubt.
So when you look out in the valley over the next 5 years, what do you think are some of the new exciting technologies or opportunities that you'll be chasing or trying to engage, and how do you see Plantronics fitting in?
You know, I think it all comes around continuing that experience journey. There's lots more to be done in that area, and learning how new workforces adapt into their daily lives. And we're not just talking about the millennials. I know we have a big, broad conversation about them all the time. But it's about how everybody's starting to change how they work. Open workspaces. You need high definition audio that is only centered on the individual that's speaking and takes out all the background noise. When you start thinking about development operations where they're in scrum rooms and there's all kinds of things on the walls and all kinds of conversations happening in the room and virtually through many rooms in that area, it has to have that experience that drives those interactions. And the more we can get it into the technology that is into the workforce and how they work versus the other way around, it'll continue to accelerate the adoption of technology.
It's funny, we're in one of the, I think, first or second experiments that Cisco had with open workspaces here in Building 30, this Site 5.1 or whatever it was called.
Yep.
How much do you think that thinking has had on your smarter working strategy? You've experienced it here, and I know some of the newer buildings have different models. Has it influenced your product design?
Absolutely, without a doubt. You know, Agile is a great development methodology, but without the environment to support it, it's just a methodology. And so we've seen big outcomes out of those types of things: higher quality software, better customer experiences, you know, better work life for the employees and the engineers within that, in the development organization, to the point where we've kind of led the way for the company in new workspaces, which has bled into the industry of workplace transformation. Right. And when we start talking about those types of things, every company's thinking about this. How do you start attracting the talent that, honestly, everybody's in a talent war out there. And it's not about finding the best person in your city where your headquarters is, it's about finding the best person in the world. And when you need that, you need virtual technology that brings people together, that creates that seamless experience, that's going to perform the function of facilitating those teams to perform at a high level. And when you start looking at those types of things, it all comes around usability, experience, and driving that workplace transformation.
And is the same complement happening in customer service? So are people changing their expectations about what good service is?
No doubt. And you know, you and I know this space very well, and seeing it come over the times of, you know, just picking up a phone and waiting in queue, those days are gone, right? It's about the empowerment of that individual, about that consumer or that business customer that's saying, I want the answers now, I don't want spam, and I'm going to go find it myself if you can't help me. And when they go find it themselves, that means every brand is open for discussion. So you want to lead that conversation. You want to be relevant at the time of need. There's so much insight out there in customer care now. All the social feeds, all the RSS feeds. People are very open about their information now, and use that accordingly, not to, you know, chase somebody and try and sell them something, but be relevant at the time that they need something that you're providing. And as you start looking at that, they want to engage at a higher level. They don't want to just be on the phone. They want to see the information, and they want to be through a journey with yourselves and see somebody when it requires that high touch. If it's a financials discussion, a mortgage, for instance, that you're trying to close, you don't want to do that over the phone. You don't want to do it over email. You want to feel that reputation of the brand that you're doing business with, and video and that immersive experience drives that high touch feel.
And we were talking earlier about how this even goes into entertainment. You were mentioning last night Jimmy Kimmel's show and how Cisco technology has been integrated into an experience that brings people in their homes or at an Oscar party into the broadcast studio.
Yeah.
Do you see that's more of the future of entertainment as well?
Absolutely, for sure. So we started talking with the Kimmel show about 6-8 months ago, and their view was, hey, we would like to engage with the audience differently. We don't want to just broadcast to them. Right? We want them to be a part of the overall experience. And so when we started looking at it, I said, hey, you know, we can take video from a person's home over broadband, bring it into your studio, and interact with those folks. You could also take things like this and put them around areas where there might be celebrities. And for instance, on the unveiling of the technology last night was right after the Oscars. We had Kevin Hart and Eddie Murphy made a guest spot appearance, just came in on the video link there from one of the parties after the Oscars. And you see this interaction of people outside of that core room or studio, if you will. People are engaged. They want to see what's going to happen next, right? And I think this is just the stepping stone to many other differences like that.
Excellent, excellent. I guess one of our objectives next year when we see that will be to make sure they have a nice headset on.
You saw it loud and clear. Kevin Hart had a tethered headset on back into this DX70 here, and it wasn't that appealing. He was bouncing back and pulling on it. So yes, that experience definitely needs some improvement from the headset.
Well, and I think about when I'm in an airport and I see somebody holding their phone up, right, with the earbuds in their teeth, and you think, what does that look like on the other side?
Yeah.
Right? How can that be a great experience? It's not. It's horrible. So we have a mission to get people to get their mobile tablet in front of their face with a nice Bluetooth headset that connects them to the outside world.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, and frankly, if you're using wideband audio, that's the only way you're going to get a great experience anyways.
Yeah. It's not just the video, it's the audio quality as well, for sure.
John, again, thank you very much for spending time with us today and talking to us about the Cisco and Plantronics partnership.
It was my pleasure. It was a lot of fun.
It really is. It's been a wonderful partnership for both of us. And I think we can look forward to many more years of working together to figure out how to make customer service and collaboration a great and immersive experience for everybody.
Sounds great.
Thank you very much for joining us today. I hope you found this discussion about Cisco and Plantronics and how we work together to accelerate innovation in collaboration and in customer service useful. Thank you.